Coming up on this week's episode of the Trade Chat Down Under podcast, we talk about all things Cataclysm. We discuss Huge's add-on of the week, and we bring you all the latest news and events from World of Warcraft. All that and more, coming right up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our third episode of the Trade Chat Down Under podcast. I am the Wookiee. With me, as always, the big man himself, Huge. Good evening.
I hope you mean big man in a nice way.
I mean it in the obvious way, not the
My
sexual way.
stomach.
I meant your head, but anyway. And for the first time joining us tonight in a coup that probably means we have no listeners left, we have Mal, the Queen of the Harpies, as some of us know her.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome, Mel.
Thanks for the warm welcome.
No, we try. All right, guys.
So,
first off, as you know, Mel, if you've listened to the podcast at all, we like to talk about the news.
Pretty sure we've established I was your only listener.
We like to get our...
Hey, my mum listens to it too. She's quite proud of me.
So we like to get the news out of the way first before we talk about this week's episode, which is obviously going to be Cataclysm and all the things we liked about it and loved about it, and so it's not going to be a long podcast. Because, quite frankly, I wasn't all that thrilled with Cataclysm. Anyway,
we'll come to that though.
We will get to that in the second part of the podcast. Also coming up, second part, Huge is going to give us his add-on of the week. So hopefully
add-ons,
multiple add-ons. So stay tuned. There'll be a giveaway resulting from that yet again.
What are we giving away? Nobody told me.
Well, it'll be a pet. Huge. We're going to give away another pet.
I look forward to that. Is it going to be one of the cheap, stingy bastard ones, or are we actually going to lash out and let them have a pick of the store? We'll
let them have their choice, and hopefully they'll choose wisely.
So, hot tip for anyone playing a game: don't pick the $6 one if you can pick the $11 one.
In any case, and that we should also mention that we do have a competition running at the moment on the Trade Chat Down Under page, I believe.
We do indeed. All you have to do is like the page, which is where you will see about the competition. It's pinned to the top. It's pretty easy to see. Like that post. Make a comment of some sort on that post and share the post publicly so that we can see that you've shared it with everyone. And about midday tomorrow, I'm going to run it through my custom random name generator. It's called Blind Potluck, basically. And I'll pick a winner. And we'll dish out the first of many pets to be given away in the next week or so.
Okay. Now, as you're aware, things happen, news breaks and things like that. So on to the news. And Huge, you've been paying attention to this stuff this week. Actually, no, we'll go to Mal. Mal, you pay attention to this sort of thing.
Oh, do I?
What's?
No, you know what? This is ridiculous because the main thing I have noticed this week, and I've worked a lot this week, but the only thing I seem to have paid any attention to is the fact that in the beta, someone data mined a rubber ducky pet. And I was like, ooh, rubber ducky pet! And then I stopped paying attention to everything.
That's still probably more useful than some of the shit that I dredged up.
Well, what do you got, Huge?
I pinged off a few things. Well, where are we going to start? The 10th anniversary was a big one. Blizz finally got off their ass and gave us official dates of what's going on and what events and what epic loots and crazy shit we can win. So this year it's running the 21st of November to the 6th of January, which is that's a new record for them.
That's
it's like 45
really
days.
Anniversary.
Yeah, they're certainly cranking it out this time round, and there's a very specific reason for it, and that is the return of Molten Core. Huzzah!
Okay, I get it
Uh,
now.
to get in there, you've got to be 100,
Yeah.
level 100.
They're-
Yeah, so first of all, you got to hit the new level cap, which is 100, and then you can queue up for the new version of Molten Core, which will only be around for the anniversary, which is a bit disappointing. However, if you manage to pull it off and complete it, they're going to have a sick ass looking Corehound mount.
I've
You'll
seen
get
that. Yeah.
get a 640 item level helm to suit your class and spec. And you have the possibility of getting a pet and possible weapon enchant imbued sort of thing from Ragnaros. So that imagine is going to be.
Pet?
I'm off the top of my head, I can't remember. It's I'm pretty sure it's a little Ragnaros or something like that. There's something along those lines.
So I remember reading somewhere a little while ago, and the way that I read it, I thought it was a guaranteed drop, was that everyone gets a molten corgi. I don't know whether that was just the logging in pet.
No,
That's
you get
the
that for
login
logging in.
pet.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
On top of that, we've got another fan favourite of mine. There'll be two different, I call them age brackets for this. The Taran Mill versus South Shore PvP world again. This time it's going to be done deathmatch style in a 90 to 99 bracket and then a level 100 bracket. And for those that have been playing it for a while, they'll remember the fun that was had in that PvP. Taking part in that will get you a PvP title specific to your faction. Taran Mill Terror and South Shore something or other for the Horde. The only other news that really sort of cropped up. Oh, actually, speaking of giveaways and that, for logging in is the pre-quest for WOD, which will be landing with patch 6.0. Finishing up on the Blasted Lands intro quests will get you a guaranteed pet drop of a Iron Startlet and a title. So if you know the Iron Startlets, I'm pretty sure everyone should know by now, is the big ball of fire thing that seems to nuke us all when doing Gary and looking for raid.
That pet you get from Ragnaros is the tiny hate spark the tiny.
Oh, how cute! You just looked that up, didn't you?
I'm on the Wowhead page for it now.
So you're way more efficient at doing the news than I am, so maybe you should. But yeah, other than that, like it's kind of been a pretty quiet week unless you really get into like everything that's been data mined and you know, like if you're playing solidly and trying to suss out every quest and every little facet of the beta, which I'm not. So yeah, there you go.
All right, and Mal, you got anything else?
No, I don't think I do. I think I'm devoid of knowledge this week.
This week.
Just, yeah, you know.
Oh.
Don't start picking on me. Don't start picking on me.
So,
I'm not sure you've listened to this podcast at all. If you didn't figure out that was going to happen.
No, I thought
Normally
it was going to be us picking on Wookiee, but you know,
Yeah,
clearly I was wrong.
you got to get up early in the morning to start doing that.
so
Or not.
should we get on to our favourite subject of the Cataclysm?
Well, that'll be coming up in a minute. But first of all, we're going to talk just after the break about our add-ons of the week.
Thank you for the invitation, Lord Fordring. We look forward to observing these games. Speak for yourself, Thrall.
I hope you'll see the merit of these events in time, Garrosh. We cannot win against the Scourge if we continue to war against one another.
Wise words. Words of a fool, you mean? The Horde will destroy the undead without your aid, human, or that of the pompous king. Garrosh, enough.
So we're going to give Huge a chance to tell us more about his add-on collection this week and what he thinks we should be using or shouldn't be using.
First of all, I will say congrats to Code, fan of the page and now member of our Horde Guild. He took out last week's.
Absolutely.
Well done. So
There's a lot of way to go to catch me, because I'm out-leveling him on both of my tunes now.
that's right. You two have got the little leveling comp going, don't you?
We do, and I am winning on 2 tunes now.
I'm pretty sure now you've said that, he'll put in extra effort just to screw you out of the title.
Possibly.
So, as always, like I've got 84 billion different ads installed, and this week I went with a pick of 2 that I've actually been getting a fair bit of use out of, especially just in the last week. One of them being a bigger bag, which basically you install, and it's a simple mouse over while you're on Timeless Isle, and it will tell you in the detail window on the bottom right, when you look at what you're fighting, it'll tell you whether you've looted the rare item or equipment or drop from those mobs that count towards the bigger bag achievement. I've personally found it's helped me a hell of a lot, because as soon as I get the rare drop from one particular group of mobs, I move on to the next one. And I haven't been working on it particular, but doing the daily farm out there, it's just been a little more utilised.
Yeah, that sounds good, actually.
Oh, it's killer. I've now that I've been sort of sharing the love of the farming around different mobs, it seems to be a hell of a lot more effective. And I've managed to ding off a whole bunch of the shit you need for a bigger bag, which if you look at the list, you'll be there for a while.
Yeah.
And the other one is Overachiever, which is just amazing.
Yeah, I've started using that too in the last 2 weeks,
Yep.
I reckon. And yeah, no, all positive.
What got you onto it?
I reckon it might have actually been either you or Des who doing some kind of old raid, because I'm always doing old raids somewhere. Yeah, someone's told me about it and linked something, and I'm like, oh yeah, that actually sounds really good. And yeah, it's been.
I know.
helpful to me.
I know. I certainly go on about it a bit because like the same as I do a fair bit of old school content,
Yeah.
and it's just awesome that you can open it up and just go to the tab across the bottom, because basically,
Yeah.
like for the kids playing at home, basically all it is, you open up your achievement windows, and it now gives you the ability to both search, watch particular achievements, and suggest achievements. And as soon like you click suggest, and as soon as you go into a particular area, it will automatically notify you of any achievements that you can any achievement that you can get in that area.
If you mouse over the raid achievements that aren't account-wide, if you mouse over the achievement, because sometimes they're highlighted whether you have them on a tune or not, it'll show you what tune actually holds them on the account.
Yeah. But,
and when that tune got it.
Yeah. So
to me,
it sort of makes it a hell of a lot easier to keep track of what you got, what you still need, that sort of thing. Like I know, like we did our fun run in Ottawa this week and last week, and I've utilised the shit out of it in there, because there's just so many achievements in there. All we had to do was go into a different wing and have a look at the suggestions box, and we knew straight away what we had to do. So that one I sort of well, actually both of them I highly recommend to anyone that's still doing that sort of stuff.
Achieves that aren't on metas, like I know we've been doing 10-man Ottawa, and I have that meta achieve, but there are actually quite a few achieves I didn't have within Ottawa that weren't on the meta, so I've gotten quite a few of them.
Well, that's been one of the biggest bonuses. Like there's hell achieves that I honestly thought I had, and then just doing random shit like with Wookiee or some of the other guildies, and working out that I actually don't, sort of thing, because I've had a look at the suggestion tab. So yeah, it's been a massive bonus. So that's my wrap up of the week. Either of you got any add-ons that you sort of found or finding extra useful?
Healbot. I still use Healbot.
Healbot, and that's like one of the 3 add-ons you have.
Honestly, I think my favourite is cosplay.
Okay.
Because basically what it does is, for people who don't have it, I assume everyone already has this, but for people who don't, when someone links a piece of gear or you see a piece of gear in chat and you go to preview it, where that preview window pops up, cosplay adds an undress button. So say if you've got a tabard or something on, if you're trying a chest piece on, you can't see the tabard, you just undress and you can see whole things. It's stupid. I've been using it for years, but I like it because I always have my tabard equipped on my main.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really dumb, really lame, really simple, but I like it.
Yeah, it's usually like those small little cheeky add-ons that sort of make the biggest difference.
It really is.
So yeah, no, I might have to check that out because that's one of the my pet peeves in the game. You got to suss something out, then you have to reset it to get rid of your tabard.
Yep, and you don't have to do that anymore. You just cosplay.
Sounds good. Mr. Hillbot over there has gone deadly quiet.
No, I'm still here. I'm just
He's
letting
really
you two
not
talk
up to
about
speed.
add-ons and stuff, you know.
I feel like he might be napping while we're talking.
I still use the same 3 add-ons I've always used.
I
Healbot,
don't understand how
Recount, and
you know what else? You know what else you
DBM.
used to
That's
do?
it.
You used to walk 10 miles to school through the snow.
Get off my lawn, you damn kids.
When I first started playing, there were no add-ons. We had none. And then we had CT Raid, and that was it.
When you started playing, there were still dinosaurs.
Well,
When
maybe.
you started playing, you were the only person playing WoW, and there was no WoW. Because I didn't even know.
Every time you talk like that, I just imagine that meme that keeps going around with the old dude in the top hat and glasses, like, back in my day, Vanilla didn't have you whippersnappers walking on my lawn.
I don't know what kind of voice that was, man, but that was just
I don't know, and I don't care.
It's like-
It's very late.
Indian gentry. Anyway, coming right up, we're going to talk about Cataclysm. We'll be right back.
It is good that you serve me so faithfully. Soon all will serve the Lich King. And in the end, you shall be rewarded.
Ladies and gentlemen, we promised last week that we were going to talk about Cataclysm this week, but I've had a few people in my ear, and so we've decided to have another round of Wrath discussion.
So
And
surprised you went with ear just then.
what else would I go with?
Well, I'm not at liberty to say on a podcast that might be, might on a rare occasion have children listening.
Do try to keep it PG. Now we like Cataclysm. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of it, and
Lie.
all
Lie
things
to the
Cataclysm.
children.
I played like a fanatic, as I always have during Cataclysm. But we just felt that we didn't cover Wrath as much as we would have liked, and so by popular demand, including by the big fat idiot on the other side of this podcast.
I was going to say, are you talking about yourself there, or
And
I'm a little bit confused here.
Are you calling me fat? Is that
and
what's
Nikki.
happening?
So
I mean, I'm a
Quick,
chick.
subject.
You never say that to a chick. Like,
no, that's why I wasn't saying it
male-female
about you anyway.
relations 101.
So anyway, where was I?
Something about that failure of an expansion pack.
Anyway,
the one.
I love Cataclysm. I really did. I loved it. No lies here. Lies make baby Jesus cry, etc., etc. But we wanted to talk about Wrath a bit more, and specifically, Huge wanted to talk about Wrath a bit more because we could have gone for frickin' hours last week, and I had to cut him off.
I totally have manwood for Arthas. But that being said, I also have manwood for Jaina as well. Yeah.
It's probably better that you have more wood for her than you do Arthur's.
No, either way.
And before we get started into that, we covered a number of topics last week. One of which was the lore basis for Northrend and the Viking influence that was had in some of the areas that were there. And we said a few things that Mal here may have disagreed with in her role as the Tomb Raider of our guild.
Tomb Raider, okay. That's a new one.
The anthropologist.
I believe the term you're looking for is archaeologist.
That's what I'm looking for. I prefer Tomb Raider, to be honest.
Tomb Raider's good. It makes people think I have enormous pointy boobs. I mean, they might be enormous. I don't know how pointy they are.
Just for all the kids listening,
yes, in particular, Denton Croat.
Might need to ask your parents about that last comment.
So
Mel,
what was it that we said that
I'm pretty
upset
sure
on pointy boobs over here?
No. I'm pretty sure it was Wookie who said that he made a connection between Tolkien dwarves and WoW dwarves, which was that they were based on Vikings. Whereas there's Viking influence in Tolkien dwarves. They're really, I don't think there is in WoW dwarves. I think they're.
I don't believe that's the connection I made, though, to be fair, Mel.
Well, I could be wrong.
I do believe I said that Tolkien wrote about dwarves based on them being, and based his dwarves on them being Vikings, whereas WoW had dwarves, but they weren't Viking dwarves, but they still had Viking stuff in WoW.
Yeah, I'm really fucking confused right now.
So while WoW had Vikings, they weren't dwarves.
Hey, look, he
Tolkien had.
Up, not me.
You made a point of addressing this with me on Monday night.
Just having a random conversation.
Yeah,
well,
no, I don't recall the conversation, but I do believe that's a valid argument, that there is definitely a distinction between the two. They are separate things.
And so it leads me to wonder what else you might have had problems with on our discussion, Mal.
Pretty much everything.
And I'm led to believe you made notes and all
so.
sorts of things. So
you mean apart from you, no, like that was the thing that stuck out with me, and you're just like bringing something out of the conversation.
Right.
He's
So
dredging. That's what he does.
What did you like about Wrath of the Lich King, the expansion, the experience?
Well, obviously we were doing Ulduar tonight, and I've always just considered that to be the best raid, just of all. Like ICC is
You
awesome.
suck.
I know. Don't let me. I just feel. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Now I feel bad, because I'm breaking your heart.
No, I'm prepared to listen to all arguments should they be valid.
I was actually shocked when one of the other people in our raid was like, "Oh, people don't want to come to Ulduar. They just, there's negative connotations." I never got that, and I did Ulduar a lot. That was actually the main raid I did, and I started playing at the beginning of Wrath, and then got to max level on 2 turns during Wrath and raided on both of them. And Ulduar was the raid that I did the most of while it was current content, and I never downed the Lich King while he was current content.
Was there anything in particular about Oldie that sort of
it was just
stuck out?
Different kinds of fights that you could do. Like they all felt kind of different. The kind of lore thing with the tying in with the Titans, I kind of liked that. You're freeing these Titans from corruption or whatever, and
that works.
And kind of the fact that you're able to kind of port around. You don't necessarily have to do bosses in order. It's not like some kind of linear thing that you're doing.
I have always appreciated that fact that you like.
I think that's good in any raid.
Yeah, definitely. The ability to either swap between them or just go to certain ones in certain order that you like your guild or group is more comfortable with, and not necessarily having to.
Sometimes maybe you're having a difficult time with something, you can go and do something else and come back, or And I know while I was in Ulduar, we used to do that a lot. I can think of doing that in other raids as well, but that's the one that stands out to me. Maybe it stands out to me a lot more because it was the first.
Because you spent so much time there.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in there. It was the first real raid that I did. Obviously, because I didn't play vanilla and I didn't play BC, that was the first thing I did when I got to max level. Like, I started doing heroics, and I got carried. Like, admittedly, I pretty much got carried through Ulduar, but it was still awesome.
If that was the first one, I mean, that's a pretty steep learning curve for anyone that's been a raider, let alone someone that's brand new to raiding.
It's not like it's an easy raid now.
What obviously Oldie being the favourite raid, where did your allegiance lie with like dungeons and throughout the expansion?
That's a hard. I think I obviously like Halls of Stone and Lightning. Hated Oculus and Nexus. Just remember, and obviously during Lich King, everyone will remember that's when looking for group started, and I kind of feel like that's all you ever got was Oculus of Violet Hold.
Yeah.
And while Violet Hole's not a terrible dungeon, it's just the long pauses. And maybe they seem longer now because obviously we've got better gear and...
It was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. Like, I definitely hate Oculus, and I made mention of that last week. But Violet Hold, yeah. If you got things down quick enough, if you were lucky to be in a group that could do that, then yeah, you had to sort of sit there and twiddle your fingers until you were like it was all ready to go
It's
again.
funny,
That
like
annoyed the shit out of me.
if I level a tune now, when I get to Northrend, when I get Violet Hold that first time if I'm doing dungeons, and I don't always do dungeons because I do like to quest, I do get excited when I get into Violet Hold. I'm like, ooh, that hold. And then I'm in there and I'm like, oh crap, I remember now.
Yeah, you
It's
rapidly
fucking
remember why you
awesome.
dislike it.
Yeah.
What well, just speaking of quests there, did you have like a chain line of quests or any particular sort of quest that you enjoyed doing the most that you still do?
Well, I mean, like, obviously there's the Wrathgate. Although, generally, I actually don't do Dragonblight anymore. I generally go... I love Grizzly Hills, but I think my favourite zone is probably actually Storm Peaks.
Yeah, nice.
And I always do Storm Peaks. And I've just gotten my Horde Hunter to 77 or 78 today. I got O2 this morning before I went to work. And
Is that the your hunter from our guild?
yeah.
Nice.
And I actually considered, because the actual zone that I've never replayed, the zone that I've only ever done once was Ice Crown, and I hated it. But now, like, looking back and looking on the whole expansion, I'm actually considering going straight into Ice Crown and doing that zone again to see sort of...
I do enjoy that aspect in the sense that, like, if you do level a character, because it's so quick now, you have that option.
Yeah.
Like you said, like you haven't really spent a lot of time doing Ice Crown, so at least this, on a new tune you can. Whereas before, actually during the expansions, you sort of had no choice. Like you had to go through all of these areas to get max XP.
And I was also, if you remember, in Ice Crown at the time with all the phasing, and I was leveling with my best friend at the time, Arender, and so he wanted to do that zone, so we did it together, and I wanted Lawmaster. So
And he
I
didn't.
wanted completion. So we couldn't be in that zone together if we went on the same track, like and you'll still do it today if you go to the front of ICC and you're on the same server with someone and you've done all the quest lines there and they haven't. At some point, they'll phase out from you.
That was the big issue with so much of the stuff in Ice Crown. Like it required a party, but you get a party together and then realise that half of them hadn't done all the quests and were in a different phase anyway. So you were kind of screwed.
Yeah, so that was part of the reason where the only reason I played that zone through from start to finish at the time.
Yeah.
Was that we were doing it together and.
Yeah. Like, and at least now you can sort of sit back and just enjoy it, and if it just gets boring and that, you can skip past it. And
there are some cool quests in there, like.
Well, there's so many different tangents that can be taken, and they all sort of have their own little storylines that ultimately add to the bigger picture. But I found that to be the case through every zone.
Well, that's true, and there's always that little, piece of Arthas through every zone. Like, you see the Lich King, and obviously in Ice Crown, there's the quest where you're seeing the little boy and you're going for the heart, which is Arthas. When he's young.
Well, that's one of the things I've always been a fan of, is the fact that basically I'm 99% certain that at every zone, at some point, you have some degree of interaction with Arthas.
Mm.
So, especially the one where you actually got to be Arthas, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's actually cool. I do remember that now.
That's almost worthy of going through Ice Crown alone. just to have those 5 minutes of being like the big badass from from that expansion pack.
It's also, I haven't done it from Horde perspective, and I imagine much won't be different apart from, a different ship to float around on, but...
I can't believe you haven't done it on a Horde character full stop. Like, you have 84 bazillion toons.
No, I have a 90 Horde, but I got that Horde to 90 through straight out dungeons.
Wookie, are you aware of how many toons Mal actually has?
No.
I think we need to have this question answered. I think the fans desire this knowledge.
I am at 50 account-wide toons, and I have hit 50 account-wide toons about 4 times now, and I've had to go and delete toons.
Nice.
I still want to see your played time, though.
I need to, to do that would involve, logging into every character and being like,
There you go. That'll be
I do
there's a
mean
way
to
to
do
spend a quiet Sunday afternoon.
I've got the weekend off, actually, so, I'll lock out a piece of time to do that.
That is your mission for the weekend. When you come back next week for next week's podcast, I want to hear a playtime report.
A lot of those tunes, in my defense, were, under level 10, just random bullshit tunes from, server down periods, or I don't even know.
How many?
Give myself a hole here.
Yeah, how many of them have got upwards of 60 though?
Yeah, there's probably a lot.
I like the way you don't want to answer that.
I actually can't answer that, I don't think. Off the top of my head. I suppose I could log out of WoW now and, start having a look around.
Let's not get too hasty, because then I'd just have to sit here for the rest of the podcast giving you shit about being the ultra nerd.
Exactly. I like how you're calling me the ultra nerd and you're Mr. fucking Frostmourne replica over there.
Oh no, so that's a different kind of ultra nerd. That's a collector nerd.
You can't see all the mini TARDISes and mini Doctor figurines I have on my desk right now though either, so it's all okay, I suppose.
See, I find it funny because you're obviously a Doctor Who fan, but the amount of game time that you've got playing WoW, your passion for the game is spread across many different sort of nerdy pursuits, whereas me, mine's a small contingent of Star Wars and then 90% WoW fanatic sort of thing. And then you've got Wookiee over there who's fitty with football and WoW.
Football and WoW, that's an interesting combo.
Yeah, go. Who do you follow, Wook? Port Power or something?
Yeah,
Crows? Is it the
if
Crows?
I was dead, maybe.
Was it Fremantle?
Carlton, you moron.
Oh, same. All a bunch of high-priced ballerinas.
I live in something of a nether space between the sports jock and the nerds.
It's such a weird combination that your other podcast, of which I'm not familiar with the name off the top of my head, insert free plug here, has quite the followers, and then on the stark contrast we have 3 listening to a WoW podcast.
And you've lost one of those, remember, because now I'm in.
Sorry, we're down to 2, and actually we're down to 1 because the other one's my mum and it doesn't count.
And I'd like to give a bit of a shout out to your mum.
Yeah, you can if you like.
Hello, Mrs. Huge.
Mrs. Huge is my wife.
No, Mrs. Huge is also your mum.
We like to call her Grandma Huge Bloke.
Grandma Huge.
Yep, the whole family of huge blokes.
Hello, Grandma Huge. I love you. I'm a big fan of your work. Come see me when you're single again.
Come see me. Yeah, beauty.
Drop me a line.
My dad will be thrilled when he hears this podcast. I'm going to make sure he listens to it.
I'm making sure I'm never coming around to your place when your parents are there.
I've got a whole family of huge blokes going, and then my little man is Beeswoggle and Hornswoggle, depending on what character he's playing. So, speaking of which, he's not actually doing too bad. His Orc Warrior is now 37 or 38. And considering he hasn't really left Orgrimmar, I honestly don't know how he's doing.
I Oh, there's that guy that got to level 90 on his panda and didn't even leave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't
but
Panda
leave
World.
Fucking Wandering Isle.
Just
There
did
is
picked
shit
herbs
to
for
kill.
90
But
levels.
that took him 2 years. Like, let's not fucking. That took him 2 years of running around killing level 1 things
picking
and
herbs.
herbing. Like, fuck that shit.
That would be stacked with cash because there's no herb training or anything there. Like,
Yeah, no auction house. He can't even sign up for random dungeons or anything because that
He's-
might make him pick a faction.
yeah. So, like, he would have been vendoring so many herbs and items, it would have been ridiculous.
You'd
But
get herb training early on.
Not on the Panda Island. I don't
Yeah,
think.
no, you can only get that first level of herb training,
Yeah.
and he
And that's
can't
it.
level up from that. That's it.
But like at least on Panda Island, there's stuff to kill. Like I honestly don't know how my son is getting levels from running around Ogrimmar. Last time I saw her, he was fishing, so that might have something to do with it. But
You don't get XP from fish, though. So,
well, yeah, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's doing well. Not bad for a 7-year-old playing a warrior.
maybe he secretly goes out of Ogrimmar when you're not looking and then tells
Yeah.
you he's never been there.
He does go out to like a couple of the surrounding zones sort of thing, but he's generally pretty content just getting on his mountain, riding around Ogrimmar and saying hi to people. So
I
there you go.
tried to get my 6-year-old niece doing that, and she couldn't even figure that out.
I think he spent some quality time watching Dad play,
Uh,
which is why all he does is run around on his mount talking to people. Because that's pretty much all I do.
you need to be teaching him to like do shit for you on your account. I had a guild master who had his kids farm for him. when he was a bit.
I know plenty of people that play this game that while they're off work or they're sleeping or can't be bothered or whatever, they let the kids log in and run around and herb or mine or even PvP, which is kind of horrendous. And I know full well that if I let my son play my main account, he'd probably increase my DPS output by about 50 million.
And people would probably like you more.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't go that far because they'd still see my name and be like, "Oh, this guy again." What? Just like throwing us slowly back to the topic, but
Yeah.
who stood out the most, like, to you in a hero sense?
I feel like I'm being a bit boring now because I reckon Wookie already covered it, but definitely Bova for Dragon. Like that's the big hero, particularly when you.
I'm sorry, I've got to interrupt you here for 2 seconds. I only saw it for the first time the other day. Someone's made a meme of him sitting on the throne and he's got his hands out and they've gone and photoshopped a slinky in. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Link me that shit on Facebook.
Done. I'll post it on Trade Chat Downunder so everyone can enjoy. But yeah, sorry, Bova.
Yeah, well, obviously before Lich King, I had no experience of him at all.
I don't think many people did.
Well, I guess if you played in vanilla, maybe for the Oni questline, but I didn't know that until I actually looked him up, like sometime after Lich King.
You didn't really do a lot with him in vanilla either. He just sat there in the throne room until Oni hit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if Wookie had finished his book.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
people might know about him if he actually had.
Don't you worry, there's not just going to be a book, there'll be movie rights auctioned off, a TV series, a statue
autograph,
somewhere.
first edition. So how is the book coming along? Can we have a weekly update? I did tell you I was going to ask for one.
Well, I have done a plot line for it.
Cool. So we're up to 3 sentences now.
No, it's several sentences.
Oh.
I know how it ends, I know how it starts.
Now all you got to do is actually write it down.
Yes, it is written down somewhere.
Well, that's an improvement. So to go along with my weekly add-on chime in, we would like a weekly update on the Bolvar story.
Well, you've got a plot so far.
That's not a bad place to start.
A 3-sentence plot is, I suppose it's better than nothing.
He lives, he dies, and does stuff in the middle.
Yeah. It's going to be
He's a pretty important character, though. Like, they don't really... From someone who just started playing in Lich King, like, I feel like it wasn't... He wasn't really highlighted as important as what he actually was, if you go back and look at...
I think that's where you kind of got dicked out of it. Like, if you didn't play before Wrath, he really wasn't explained that great.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was just like, oh, some dude is in the green shit, and he's talking to Surfang, and now he's in the green shit, and now he's gonna get flamed by fucking dragons, and I never even made the connection.
Nope. And then all of a sudden he just reappears.
In Ulduar, if you go in, when you're on Yogg-Saron, if you go into the portals, if you're one of those people, they show Lich King torturing a dude, which is obviously Bolvar.
Okay.
And he's saying that he will never give in and what have you. And then obviously when you down the Lich King, Bolvar
and then just pops up again, playing with this Slinky.
Yeah, but there's no connection between any of those things. There might be other signs of Bolvar throughout the expansion that I missed, but those are the three things, the big things that I'm seeing of him. And so they made him this big part of the expansion in a sense, but they never really...
But in such a tiny, tiny way.
Yeah, they never really gave him any credit. And if you look at the comic books and other lore, like, he has this big part with Anduin. Obviously, he's really important to Anduin when Anduin, is that the prince? Yeah.
Yeah.
And when his dad went missing and he was regent and all that bullshit. Like, he's important in a story-wise, but in game...
Just kind of got a bit ripped off in game.
Yeah, and they gave him this massive thing at the end. Like, the end of the expansion, he's like this hero. And the reason he takes the crown, or the reason that I see it, is that he's incorruptible, that he's a staunch dude who will
really holds his morals and...
Yeah, and that he couldn't be corrupted by the Lich King by any form of torture, and he's stuck between life and death, and so he's the best person to take the Lich King's crown because he's incorruptible, and yet no one says anything about him. Like, fucking how ripped off was he?
Speaking of get ripped off, though, like, having watched the cinematic yet again tonight, after we cleaned it...
And all tearing up.
Yeah, every time, man. I feel like such a badass for doing that. I sort of feel like that the Arthas gets ripped off, like, because he's saying to his old daddy bear that he's like, oh, all I can see is darkness. I'm like, oh, well, that's a bit devastating because, his eyes clear up and you can see, like, you sort of get the feeling that he really was under the curse and whatever else, had no idea about the shit that he was doing, and yet he's still doomed to a fate of darkness and pain and suffering anyway.
Well, if that's the case, isn't it kind of fucking Tyrion who's the dick? Like, maybe he could have been redeemed before killing him, because, like, if you think about it, we're all dead. And Tyrion's being a total dick, like, you're unredeemable, I'm gonna hold you responsible for all the shit that happened, even though you were fucking under the influence of some other dude. Sorry, I'm talking in a weird accent, I don't know why the fuck that happened.
No, I'm just finding it hilarious, because you're as passionate about it as I am. Because I'm totally on par with what you're saying. Like,
it was Tyrion that was the dick.
Oh,
and, like, maybe Jaina was right all along, and that fucking Arthas could have been redeemed. And if you have to go back at this point, you've got to go way back to Strathholm and say, Arthas was not the dick in that situation. It was Uther and Jaina who were the dicks. He was doing something that was, yes, horrible, but
had to be done.
Necessary. Because those people were fucked either way.
This is where I get in trouble with Wookiee all the time, because I quite regularly state that, like, to me, Arthas wasn't a bad dude. Like, he had the best of intentions, and he really was a good guy.
Yeah,
but
I think
he did what he thought was right, and sort of got tricked into a dodgy situation where he ended up doing all this bad shit.
I reckon it was fucking the point of Frostmourne that got him. And if Jaina and fucking Uther
had actually pressed a bit hard. Well, yeah.
So
So
what he did was necessary. Like as unpleasant as it was necessary in Stratham.
genocide's, always a bit of a touchy one, but in this case, I'll say
They're not Jews. They're
Oh.
Lorderonians. I don't know.
we went there because
Yeah.
I quite regularly, I'd quite regularly get into this discussion with people because I think it was a necessary evil because he was.
I don't think it was genocide. I think it was something that was necessary.
I don't know what the word for that would be. Help me out here, Wookie.
Well, I feel like genocide is specific to a race. It wasn't like he was like, hey, there's some black people in there. Let's go kill all of them. He didn't say that.
Pickle.
They were his people who were infected.
I can't imagine what it would have been like for him. Like, no wonder he went into picking up Frostmourne with some issues. Like he just wiped out all those people.
And not only that, but as well as his mentor and father figure, because Uther was more of a father figure than his father.
Yeah, yeah.
And the woman that he loved and thought he was going to, at that point, marry.
Doink.
Yeah.
That's all he cared about. Like, maybe that's why he was so cranky as the Lich King.
He wasn't getting any.
Because he couldn't get an end in on Jaina.
Well, she has got some pretty epic fucking norks, so,
I'm so glad I'm not the only one thinking that.
No, hell no.
And I'm still not comfortable with the way Wookiee's not chiming in at all here.
I know, he's like dead silent and it's kind of creepy.
No, I'm still here.
No,
you going to contribute anything to this, or are you just going to leave the cartoon porn addiction up to us too?
Listening to you and your new best friend.
He's jealous.
I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. My troubles have all gone.
Where do you stand on the? Do you think that's a legitimate argument that maybe Arthas wasn't the bad dude?
No, Arthas was an awful dude. Made his own bed, he lied in it, and died because of it.
And you don't think any of the others had anything to do with that?
No.
All right.
I think I think his parents could have disciplined him a bit better.
Yeah.
Maybe smacked his bottom a little bit when he was a kid.
I certainly wouldn't give him a horse that turns into a raining death steed.
Well, he did go and find that himself.
It wasn't the horse that did that.
So, yeah, but like as a safety net, if I ever actually rule over Lordaeron, all children will be getting like we'll be getting like pandas or ducks or something, just in case.
His dad was a bit of a nitwit for not having more guards in the main chamber.
Yeah, well,
and apparently an idiot for not noticing the armor changes that he went through. That turned him into a somewhat more sinister person.
Grey hair,
that his hair was turned white and his eyes were like glowing blue and shit.
And he had that manic cackle.
So perhaps some observational changes could have affected things a little bit, but at the end of the day...
I'm glad we now know your stance on things, but now we have the $1 million question. Would you throw one into Jaina?
I have a great respect for all women. And I think that women aren't sex objects to be...
not even the new ruler of Dalaran?
To be perved on, and I think that women should be... I think Blizzard should be applauded for having women in positions of power in the game. I think it's empowering. It's important for the female player base to feel
because they did such a brilliant job of giving females like an empowering sense when they designed Alistraza's costume.
Oh, I know, right? Oh, dear Lord.
Here's two pieces of red cellophane and a set of fucking earrings. Like, go be a half-naked woman.
Yes, but on the other hand, she's also an all-powerful dragon, so...
Yeah, but you don't really say that too often.
No. You basically see her standing around in a fucking G-string and some fucking shit over her nipples.
Don't get me wrong, I strongly approve of the female form in all of its finery, but I think that, it's not something I spend a lot of time obsessing over, so my answer to you would be, no, I wouldn't throw one into Jaina. I would...
You're a disgrace.
I would politely ask her if she wanted some dinner. We, go out.
Well, I
find a
wasn't-
nice
I-
restaurant in Dalaran.
Just FYI, Woogie, she can't hear you now, so you
I
don't have to
wasn't,
pretend if I heard
it
it.
wasn't going on about how you'd go about such a task. It was more a case of would you?
We'd have a nice dinner, get a nice bottle of wine. Maybe you go see a movie. Didn't notice if there was a cinema in Dalaran, so perhaps we'll just go sit in the park bit on the corner down there. But
I wonder if like the cinematic actually works. Like when they go to the statue in the centre, if they actually like put their hand on the tablet, whether they just get a vision.
Well, no, it's supposed to be kept secret, so no one is allowed to know.
Oh, see, well, that's kind of disappointing because that'd make like an awesome Delaranian equivalent of
Which
going to the
defeats
movies.
the purpose of the fucking statue in the middle of Dalaran, because if they put a statue in the middle of Dalaran, that means people know.
Well, I find it quite funny that like that part of it does get recognised. Oh yeah, we defeated him, and here's the people that did it. Except
But
that
it's a secret.
that guy that actually did it
Yeah, that dude that actually took the burden on.
missed out. See, and that's his punishment for being a bad guy in the first place.
all right, so look, we're gonna start wrapping up shortly. We're heading towards the hour mark of the podcast, and so was there anything final you wanted to say about Wrath before?
I can't believe you wouldn't do Jaina Brownmore.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm shocked.
That's pretty much the whole of it. No, as much as I love it, like I love hearing other people's takes on it, like, and not necessarily being their favourite expansion or not. But I'm sort of really impressed with some of the feedback that we got on the trade chat page. People throwing in their comments about what they enjoyed about Wrath and the dungeons and the story and the lore and whatever else. So, in that sense, I'm really digging what this expansion's done for us as a group and the discussions that it's given us.
Yeah.
But on getting away from Wrath, again, I'm really stoked with how Trade Chat Downunder is doing, both as a page and a guild. The page is by now sitting on 200 likes, which is a fairly decent effort considering this was a half-cocked, semi-drunk idea randomly conjured up one night. It seems that we do have some fans out there. Hopefully a few more people will join our alt guild or join us on fun runs and things like that. But the alt guild's come along in leaps and bounds as well with a few new members. I believe it's up to rank 7 or 8 now.
7. I think we clicked onto today at some point when I was leveling through Dragonflight, so that's nice.
Nice one. But probably the biggest crowning achievement is the addition of our third admin. So on an official note, welcome to the team now.
Thanks, guys. Love
So
you
you got-
guys.
Well, no, don't say thanks to him. He's just sat there quietly. Hasn't
That's
said
true.
jack
He's-
shit.
You did anything. Thanks, huge bloke. Love
So?
you.
Oh, big fan of work. We're teammates anyway, because apparently we both banged Jaina while he wouldn't. So
Yeah, well, that's it. Threesome, man. Whew, that's hot shit.
careful, because he's going to ask to hold the camera now.
3, 4, 3. No, can't count.
Shit on a stick.
Yes, carry on, why don't you
Long
both?
shift, and I've had several moments. What can I say?
Alrighty.
Drunk podcasting is good podcasting.
So
Not that we condone that kind of behaviour for anyone under the age of 18, and if you are, then you sure as shit shouldn't be listening to this podcast without your mum and dad. And if you're going to listen to it with your mum, please be on video call with us next time.
That's exactly it. All right, well, that pretty much wraps up the podcast for this week. Next week, I'm thinking we might veer away from our running expansion lists at the moment. We might delve into
one sucks.
we might delve into some lore next week.
Ooh.
Does this mean I'm actually going to have to learn something
Yes,
other
yes, it
than
does.
about Wrath?
It means you're going to have to devour some information. I think we're going to talk a little bit about some of the lesser-known characters in lore. Now, we made a post about this on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and I know Mal is big on Ilaria.
Yeah, all the Windrunner sisters, really, but yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Turaleon,
And obviously that ties into...
and that does tie into the Illyria thing.
I think I can actually play a vital part in this, and
Ooh.
I'm going to share the lore of the homeless guy that used to be next to the old auction house in Stormwind that has for 10 years now been begging for gold.
Okay.
Okay, share.
Well, no, I'm going to do that next podcast.
Okay.
Something to look forward to for next week. In the meantime, please note that you can win a pet of your choice if you can name one or both of the add-ons that Huge talked about this week in the podcast.
Well, no, I'd like to scrap that because we did that last time. I think people should name the member of this team that wouldn't bang Jaina.
Oh, that is... Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that.
Majority rules. You're out, Wookie.
Fair enough then. So you've got to name which one of the three of us wouldn't bang Jaina. God forbid that any of us should have any respect for women in this modern society.
Hey man, I am a woman. I can say whatever I like about women because they're my gender. So I say it's okay.
Well, there you go. She said it's okay. It's okay for all.
Alrighty. So get onto the Facebook page if you know someone who plays WoW or is into WoW, and they haven't liked our Facebook page. Get them onto it. We're giving stuff away like you wouldn't believe.
I in particular, over the next couple of days, I'm randomly just going to give shit away, pets, gold, whatever, purely to different things. One of the things that is on my hit list is for people sharing. If you share the page publicly and whoever you share it to clicks like and they become new fans, somewhere along the line there, I'm going to pick someone that's sharing the page and really trying to help us build the community. And I'll be not necessarily a pet either. I'm not saying I will, but I may or may not get generous and throw in a mount or a boost or some gold in game or something like that. I haven't decided yet, but we'll figure it out as the time goes on.
All right, and also something else that I was going to say.
You've changed your stance on the Jaina issue?
No. I think respect for women's important, and
so do I, but she's animated, so I'm not too fast.
Exactly.
I think you've got to set an example somewhere. You've got to draw a line.
Pretty sure she's not a woman. Pretty sure she's a made-up character.
But that's where it starts. See, Huge, on the other hand, his perversions go back to My Little Pony.
And, don't
he's a Bernie.
Today.
He's a Bernie.
I know it's got nothing to do with WoW, but
and another piece of the puzzle falls into place.
I am horrified by the internet today to find out that someone has asked people in DeviantArt to stop making erotic pictures of his wife, who is a My Little Pony. I don't remember the name of which pony, but apparently he's not happy about people making nudie pictures of his pony wife.
I really hope they don't stop.
The internet has definitely won all things today.
Indeed. Actually, that's what I was going to say. If you haven't yet joined our guild, our Horde guild on Dath Raymar,
I am totes getting bored as the only person who's actually seriously leveling. So, come and give me a run for my money.
I will be back over there sometime this week doing some more leveling and paying some attention to some things that I should have already.
So there you go.
It's about time.
I might randomly throw out a pet or a mount or some gold or something in game to a new addition to the guild.
Absolutely. In fact, if you join the guild this week on Dath Raymar, I will put you in the running for a rare pet in game.
There you go. Done.
Oh, if someone can come in and beat my hunter Mal, who is 77 now, 290, and you can't already be 90, and you can't be 89, and you can't boost.
Damn it!
You can't boost a tomb, but if someone come in from 70 onwards or something like that, legitimately, and beat me to 90, I'll throw in a mount.
Oh,
I'm 71 or 71
now. You're kind of out of the running, aren't you? So there you go. We got 4 different competitions from one podcast.
Yeah, this is how desperate we are for friends.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Well, at least I'm not so desperate for love I go looking for it in cartoons.
Hey.
Hey.
Looking for love in all the right places, don't you worry.
All right, and on that note, we're going to say goodnight. Thank you very much for coming on, Mel.
Yay, thank you.
And thank you very much for coming on again, Huge.
Glory to the Sindorei.
And we'll see you all on Facebook or on WoW or wherever we see you.
Peace out, homies.
Bye.
There you are.
The Horde, meddling as always. I suppose a welcome is in order. So welcome, insect.